Raf Marabut, all the way from the Philippines. Did I get that right, man?
Yeah, that's right. Thank
All
you.
right. I'm trying. Well, welcome to Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me here, Wes. It's an honor to be a guest here. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good, but hey, I'll ask the questions. All right. Don't be turning this around on me.
Definitely.
So man, I saw, so we're connected on Facebook and I saw some of your posts around copywriting. And I was curious for a couple of reasons on chatting with you. One is I'm a writer myself. I've got a soft place in my heart for writers. But you had some good, bold claims. So I like the way you kind of put yourself out there. And also coming from the Philippines, I know there are a lot of people that might have questions. I've worked with overseas VAs since at least 2010, somewhere in that time frame, 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And I've got a virtual team now, and they've been great. But I know sometimes people will ask, well, how good's their English? What kind of work can you give them? It's like we have this concept in America that the workers overseas can only do like rudimentary type work. But I see you've got a Facebook group. You're teaching Filipinos how to write, but you're also helping anybody learn how to write. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
So
how did you launch that? And then how did you expand into the U.S. from overseas? Because I want my listeners to kind of hear the story of how it's got to be a bit daunting, right? I mean, English is not your first language, but here you are putting yourself out there to English speakers saying, I can help you sell more through the written word. And you're, again, writing a language that isn't your native tongue. So walk us through that kind of origin story.
yeah, okay, sure. So basically, I'm a direct response copywriter. I have over 4 years of experience as a freelancer. I started out almost 4 years ago, and yeah, I started out as a writer, and just like most Filipinos, we actually speak good English. We're actually educated to learn English since grade school, since we were just small. So all the signs here are in English, not in our native language, and we read English books. And yeah, so basically, we're really good at English as well. And I know it's more common for Filipinos to be virtual assistants. I think that's what most people are used to when hiring Filipinos. But there are a lot of experts as well. There are a lot of copywriters. There are a lot of, let's say, sales funnel strategists, Facebook ad managers. And we're actually also good. And most of the time, we charge lower than compared to our counterparts, our expert counterparts in the US. And basically, I founded a group, Copywriting Dojo Philippines. We already have 4,300 members and counting. People there call me Sensei because I was the head of the dojo. I didn't like it at first, but the name kind of stuck. So it started right there. I learned copywriting by working with an ad agency, digital marketing agency, I mean. And they were focused on doing Facebook ads. And they basically opened my world to copywriting. So that's where I started to learn about copywriting. This concept, copywriting, was kind of new in the Philippines when I created the group. The more common type of copywriting was ad copywriting, where people just thought we copywriters wrote slogans or witty taglines. So direct response copywriting was kind of new. And I attracted a lot of people interested in learning how to sell in written form. And that's how mainly the dojo grew. And right now I mentor dozens of Filipino copywriters. I teach people copywriting. I hold workshops, and yeah, I'm basically producing a lot of Filipino copywriters that will definitely deliver quality work to any business person in the US or anywhere around the world. So
So for
that's
those listening that may not, I mean, people still think that copywriting is the little circle R thingy, on your logo. I mean, this is not legal copywriting with an R, right? It's copywriting as in writing the written word. So how is direct response copywriting different from what you were doing? Like you're talking about writing ads, writing slogans, things like that.
Yeah. So funny story, I actually have a close friend who's studying law, and he thought I was doing the copywriting you mentioned, doing copyrights with a G. So copywriting, direct response copywriting is just like salesmanship in written form. It's persuasion in written form. We're not about just branding, long-term branding, which produces long-term results as well. We're not quite sure. For example, when you see a TV commercial, we're not quite sure when exactly that would generate sales for the client. But with direct response copywriting, we're running ads, we're running copy, and we expect people to buy as soon as they finish reading the copy, a sales page, for example, or an ad. So it's more measurable compared to the other type of copywriting, which is advertising copywriting. It's also more convenient compared to, let's say, salesmanship, because we are okay. Let me just tell a story. I recently met with a friend of mine who's a financial advisor. She sells life insurance. We met and talked for an hour, very casual. I love listening to pitches, especially in the oral form, because I'm more used to writing in written form, writing persuasion in written form. And at the back of my head, it looks like as if I was trying to decide whether I'd buy insurance. But actually, I was thinking like, hey, I know what you're doing. I know this tactic. I used it last week on my sales letter. So salesmanship and copywriting are really close to each other. They're intertwined. And actually, when I met with her, I already wanted life insurance. I was already aware. I was a most aware prospect. I was ready to buy. I could have just said, stop, no need to hear your pitch. Here's my money, I'm ready to buy. But, I like listening to pitches because it helps give me more ideas on what I could include to my sales letters or my sales pages. And not so sure, I think it takes her about an hour plus a few follow-ups to close deals with clients. The same things with copywriting, but instead of having a 1 hour long sales conversation with a prospect, what we do is we actually um, convert that into a long form sales page or a series of messages, maybe emails or pre-sale content, and send it out to hundreds or thousands of people at once. So it's more convenient way of persuading people without meeting them one by one or hundreds of them, without pitching at a live event, for example. So yeah, that's what copywriting is to me, and how it's different from salesmanship and ad copywriting.
Very cool. It's an art too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
how did you get into it? I know you said you were writing ads, but did this digital marketing company slowly teach you copywriting, or did you learn it on your own while you were doing just the simpler kind of writing for those digital marketing firms?
Yeah, so they basically taught me the basics, and from the basics, I really loved it. I really fell in love with copywriting, with direct response, and then I decided to learn more about it, read books, follow copywriting mentors, copywriting gurus, and yeah, that's what I kept doing. I bought courses and such until I learned a lot about persuasion. It's a really deep hole. It's a really deep rabbit hole once you keep getting sucked in, because I don't know, even until now I still have a lot to learn, even after reading a lot of books, finishing a lot of courses, and it's very interesting. It's a very challenging type of copywriting.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of answered the question, but I always ask people, can copywriting be taught? And usually, the answer is, well, like the framework can be taught, but it is an art that has to be mastered. So has that been your experience?
Yeah, definitely. Basically, when I try to teach other people, I find it easier to teach them using templates, using fixed frameworks, using formulas. But as an art, you can actually break the rules. You don't have to follow templates. You don't have to follow formulas, and that's what I actually recommend once they get used to following frameworks or formulas. Yes, the basic stuff can be taught, but after that, they have to find their own style. They have to find their own way of doing things, because every copywriter is unique in that way. Because we don't sound like, I mean, the great copywriters don't sound like the same. They have their own unique style. They have their own unique way of persuading people to buy whatever they're selling. And yeah, it's an art form in that. And there's also a science to it, because um, the formulas actually work. But like most people know, formulas work only, like what Eugene Schwartz said. Formulas only work once; they don't work twice. So yeah, it would be good to even master copywriting way past that.
So you mentioned Eugene Schwartz. I mean, are there, like, who are some of the masters? Like, if somebody were just getting started, where should they begin? And what's one or two little formulas or frameworks you can share that someone could apply quickly and just to dip their toe in the water of direct response copywriting?
Yeah, sure. So Eugene Schwartz is actually not a good place to start. Yeah, what he's teaching is a bit complex. I'd suggest Gary Halbert. He's the yeah. It's what I recommend for people who's just starting out. He is a very friendly tone, very casual tone, and teaching copywriting. I think people can buy his Boron letters. Yeah, and you can download it for free online and print it out. It's called Gary Halbert's Boron Letters. It has, I don't know, 23 chapters, I think, or 24. So aside from him, you can also learn from Dan Kennedy.
So those are free, because I had his son, Bon Halbert, on the Sales Podcast a while back, and I've got the book. It's great. But I didn't know they were doing it for free.
Yeah. They made it into a book, but they're actually download links to the free, I think it's a PDF.
Right.
Those are official. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So aside from that, Dan Kennedy would be good as well. He has a number of books.
Yep.
Colin Theriot, my mentor, the founder of and cult leader of the Cult of Copy. He has another great group that you guys might want to check out. Tens of thousands of members as well. David Ogilvy, more of a mix of their direct response copywriting and advertising copywriting.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the experts I recommend people would follow.
Yeah, I've always linked to Dan Kennedy, Magnetic Marketing, some of his copywriting as well. I've got his CDs, his DVDs, the big binders. So yeah, I've listened to him for a while.
Yeah, definitely one of the best.
Yeah. Cool. And then, so as you were getting started, I mean, how did you land your first paid copywriting gig?
Okay. Yeah, so I used to work full time for, the digital marketing agency. So I guess we won't count that as the first gig.
Right.
Yeah, but the first gig, well, I scoured job boards looking for clients, and I just saw one post looking for a sales page, and he was an internet marketer. So I already had some samples written because I used to work for an agency, and then I simply pitched to him. It was quite a long pitch, but I think I stood out because he picked me. Yeah, so that's what I basically did. It was at the Cult of Copy job board, I believe, and Yeah, I got paid well for that, and yeah, we even had a few projects after that, and after that I've become a, a full-time freelance copywriter. I didn't work full-time anymore.
How do you know how to charge? Do you just have a set fee based on what they need, or is it a custom quote you do per job?
Okay, so yeah, we'd like to we all always say it's a custom code, but we usually have figures in our mind. Yeah, for example, for a sales letter, like how much would we be charging? It's typically between $1,000 to $3,000 on average, depending on skill level. And the quote is usually an excuse, or let's say if it's a harder to write for industry, if it requires more research on the part of the copywriter, that's when we start adding a bit of additional for research, or um, for anything additional that's required for the project. So yeah, so I guess that's basically it.
How important is that research to writing good copy?
Yeah, research is really important. I mean, um, when we write, it's actually 80% research and just 20% writing. It's important to start with the market, building a customer avatar, and knowing the demographics and psychographics of the market, trying to fully understand who the market is, what their goals, desires, fears, objections, challenges are. And then once you're confident that you can speak for the client, you can put yourself in the client's shoes, I mean the customer's shoes, that's when we go to the competitors. So aside from market research, we also do competitor research as well. We need to know what the competitors are doing right, what they're doing wrong, and how we can do better than them. So
Right.
that's like a shortcut to writing copy, seeing what the competitors are doing.
Can a business owner write their own copy, or are they just too close to their own business to see the value?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I teach business owners as well on how to write copy. What I usually recommend is to follow frameworks or templates, because you're not business owners are not trying to study copywriting in depth. They just want to write a sales page, for example. So formulas and templates would be the best for them. Okay, so for example, you can use AIDA, which is action, I mean attention, interest, desire, and action, or PASS, problem, agitate, and solve. And my mentor, Colin, even has his own Viking Velociraptor formula. So it's a really interesting formula as well.
Viking Velociraptor?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he said it started out as a joke because he couldn't think of um, a name that started with V, two words that started with V, because the formula was something like verify, validate, vantage, villains, and values. So it's five V's, hence the name.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
it kind of stuck.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm gonna have to look him up. I used to be connected with him years ago. Very cool. So when you mentioned formulas, so you mentioned AIDA. What's the other one you mentioned? Was it BASS?
Yeah, pass.
So
Problem, agitate, solve.
oh, that's easy enough. So do the frameworks and the formulas, do they get even more detailed? Are there acronyms or things for like talking about graphics or the importance of captions or double readership path or sub headlines, things like that? Or does that start to get too refined and people just need to kind of dig in?
Okay, so when it comes to formulas, these are the broader formulas. We also have templates for the sales letters. There are usually templates available there. if you've heard of the 21 step Perry Belcher method for sales copywriting, it's a popular way to write sales letters, to write sales pages. I use it all the time. Other copywriters use it all the time. It's pretty long, 21 steps, but
Right.
but that's the entire sales conversation there.
Gotcha. And is that something he sells, or is that something that's downloadable as well?
Yeah, I think it's available. Yeah, last time I checked, it's available for free. I just Googled the 21 step, and a blog post was there.
Okay, cool. So what's something someone could do like right away, like literally today, after listening to this podcast? I've already went and submitted my request to join your group. So I'm gonna have my feelings hurt if I don't get accepted. So there's a warning. All right. It's a great group. It looks like. I love the topic. I love writing. But what can they do? Because I see too many people study too much and not take action. So let's assume the person listening is just working on their own stuff, and then we'll switch for actual copywriters. But what can someone do as a result of listening to this? What should they do to write better, like immediately, or at least this week, this month?
Okay. Yeah. So I first of all, I agree with that. I see a lot of people moving from one shiny object to another, having that shiny object syndrome, and that's why I created. I call this the Zen of copywriting, where there are 2 lines for every copywriting lesson. The last line says, "Knowledge without action is still inaction," and I think that applies here. And yeah, I think the best way to start copywriting is actually, start writing, start learning. Because the more you write, the more you'll be better at writing. You can't just keep studying and studying copywriting without application, without action. Because when you do that, you won't become a better writer. We become better writers when we write, when we actually write. So you could actually look for swipes, either swipefile.com or swipe.co. We could just share links later on. And then there are a lot of swipes there for inspiration. You can look for one that's close to whatever you're selling, or that's identical to whatever you want as a sales page. And then you can use that as sort of an inspiration, a template to writing your own sales copy. That way it would be 10 times easier. Without writing everything from scratch, you will have a structure you can follow. Then you can edit it, you can tweak it as much as you want, and then you already have your own sales page. All you have to do is just fill the words out.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, so it's swiped with a D, so swiped.co. And the term, Dan Kennedy talks about it a lot, but it comes from journalism. When you see something that you like that piques your interest, from back in the day, you would literally just rip it out of the magazine or rip it out of the newspaper, because you wouldn't want to save the whole magazine if there's just one ad or one headline you wanted. So they would literally rip it out and file it, and then save it. And so when it came time to write, you're not ripping them off. You're not using the content. Like I just pulled one up, one of these on the first page, this big bold headline: reduce your wrinkles up to 56% the first month. Okay. Well, you sell that exact market banner. So, I could put reduce your cold calling up to 56% the first month, something like that. So at least I'm not starting from scratch. So that's why you do this. So I think too many people think that they have to come up with something 100% unique, 100% in isolation, instead of being inspired by something else. And that's probably why they don't start, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Most people overthink it. Your copy doesn't have to be perfect for it to work. You know, the best. I mean, the good thing that you should do is just to test whatever you wrote and then just make tweaks along the way. That's how the greatest copywriters learned, like Gary Halbert.
Yep. And then, so when you say just start writing, what should they do? Should they write a blog post? Should they write an email newsletter, a Facebook post? You know, because people, they're afraid. They're afraid to make a mistake. They're afraid to look foolish, so they don't start. But you got to put yourself out there, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I suggest the easiest the easiest type of copy you could start with right now. If you have an email list, yeah, if you have a good email list that reads your emails, you can start writing an email, trying to sell that email, whatever product you're selling. I highly suggest that you write about whatever product you're selling, so you could use it ASAP, if you like the copy.
Right.
Aside from that, you can also try writing Facebook posts. So your goal there would have people to click, not really have people to engage, not really to have people comment. Well, that would help. You'd want them to click on whatever link you'll be inserting on your post. So that's when you'll know that it's actually working. If one people click, it means that you were able to inspire one person to take action.
Right.
Right. And it's all about just improving the copy you've written. Maybe include an image, because it's a social media platform. An image might go a long way. Maybe including a story might drive
Yeah.
better results.
Well, I just came back from a workshop with Ryan Dice, the founder of Digital Marketer, fresh off his Traffic and Conversion Summit. And there was just a small group of us for a couple of days. And, write something on your page, right? Your Facebook page. Now, your organic reach is going to be somewhere between 2% and 0.2%. But it doesn't hurt, obviously to build that page. But once you get even a little bit of interaction, that gives you the ideas on where to spend money boosting something. So, and you can boost posts for $1 or $2 a day, so this doesn't have to be big money, but and this is what they do. They have more followers, so they have a bigger sample. So even if only 2% see, I think they have 400,000 or 500,000 fans. So they'll make several posts organically and see which one has the engagement. And then that is the one they know to go put money behind to drive more traffic eventually to a landing page or an offer or something. So even the big guys, they're not just blindly sending things out because things change, times change. And, ads that worked 6 months ago, it may not work today. But yeah, you've got to get started. And even, one of the things too we talked about last week was, doing things that don't scale. So you make a post, you get engagement, reach out to those people, send a private message. Hey, thanks for liking my post. May I ask, what piqued your interest about this? What would you like most about it? What do you do? Right? Have these one-off conversations because I forget the numbers, like in politics or whatever, they say if one person calls their senator or congressman or faxes or emails, then they know that represents like 100 people, maybe even 1,000. So if they're getting a lot of people calling in, upset, then they know there's a lot more people that are behind that. So don't think of that one person as one person. That one person is easily 100. So get started, right?
Yeah, definitely. Makes sense. Start small. Everyone starts small. And, everyone makes mistakes at first. Rejection is normal. Even if people don't interact with your post or engage with your post, that's normal. They just have to get used to it, and then eventually you'll get better as well.
Yeah. So we're going to link to your Copywriting Dojo. can they contact you there? I guess once they're in the group, they could tag you and ask questions, or if they want to hire you, they could find you there.
Yeah, definitely. Also, if they want to hire other freelance copywriters that I train, this is the place to go. We're
Sure.
the largest copywriting group in the Philippines, and most Filipino copywriters come from us. So,
Right.
yeah, it would be a good idea.
And then do you see, like, how often is someone hired full-time versus like a project by project basis?
Well, it actually depends on, most agencies prefer hiring full-time. That's what I've seen. Most digital marketing agencies, most businesses that have less copy needs per month, they either hire on a retainer basis or a project basis. It really depends. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it just depends on your needs and your budget and whatever, and the availability of the person.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
True.
Well, Raf, we will link to all that. I appreciate you coming on the show. I'll be linking, like I said, to the Copywriting Dojo, to the Swipe, linking out to Ogilvy on advertising, personality and copy, Bond Halbert. He was a guest on the Sales Podcast, so I'm linking to him in the show notes. Boron Letters. I'm sure we'll add a few more links in the show notes. But I appreciate you taking the time, staying up late to come on the show.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, have a great night.
Have a great day. Thank you.